Oh yeah, I mean, it's what the club wanted for so long. To over 20 years since they've been in it, as you said. It's a long time, and for a club that would have been in the Premier for top division for most of their existence. I think the players are definitely excited, and the committee are probably more excited than the players. So,
absolutely, yeah. I mean, everyone says that Premier is a massive step up in this town compared to all the other divisions. You know, have you strengthened kind of accordingly, or?
We've strengthened in certain areas that we thought we need to, but I think it was important to give the guys from Prospect that are playing a chance as well. They've worked hard enough for the last few years from 1B up to 1A to Premier. So I think they deserve a chance as well. But there was certain areas that we probably needed to strengthen in. We lost a couple of players over the summer too for work reasons, or a couple of retired through injury. So we just got the numbers up again. So I think I don't think any club would be happy, because you'd always think you could have one or two more. But overall, we're happy enough.
Yeah, so you've got a tough opening assignment against Ballinenty, a seasoned team, you know, in the Premier.
Balla traditionally start very well. They usually, most seasons, they're up at the top one or two teams, especially up as approaches Christmas. So they usually start very, very well. So it'd be very, very hard. Hopefully, home advantage might help us a bit. But they've got a lot of players that have won cups, League of Ireland experience. They've got a new manager, so the players will be out to impress. So look, I mean, it's up to us to match their tempo. But as you said, they're an experienced team, so we're up against it really.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you were talking about Ballinenty always having a good start. Would you have any short or long term expectations yourself, or is it all about the start you make?
Well, if you look, bar probably Nina, if you look at the last 7 or 8 years, the teams come up have struggled. Yeah. If Charleville blew away the league and won it the year before last, and they struggled in certain games last year. Kilmallock as well. So traditionally the teams that come up, if they can stay up there, they can actually build a bit of momentum. But I mean, if we're going to be honest, they're realistic about it, staying in division will be the main priority. There's probably 2 or 3 divisions in the division itself, so you gotta probably beat the teams or pick up points against the teams around you. Anything else against the top 4 or 5 will probably be bonus.
Yeah, absolutely. You're saying there about the home advantage, you know, that teams that get promoted from divisions normally target their home form. You know, you'd always be hoping this to become a bit of a fortress for you, you know, to build on home form mostly.
Well, it's been like that. I think it's been nearly 2 years since they've lost a home game in the league. We have lost a couple of cup games against Ballinenty and against Ashton. People probably think coming down to Kells is going to be rough and tumble, but the pitch is actually in very, very good conditions. They've tried to upgrade the dressing rooms. It is a lot better than people's perception probably is. I mean, a lot of people would have been coming to Kells for years because traditionally it would have been the home in Limerick junior football, and they mightn't have been here for maybe 10-15 years to see a game. So I think they'll probably be surprised with the work that the club have done around the place.
Yeah, I was saying there to one of the lads earlier on that a club like Prospect may struggle in some ways because there's so many teams around this area. It must be very difficult to attract players, you know.
It's usually difficult because in a 2 kilometre zone you've got Crew Park, your established Premier team. Obviously, James the other side of the track. You've got Fairview, you've got Geraldines, you've got Somerville. You've got a lot of teams and their own local teams of Western and Hyde. So you're competing against big guns, but there is guys in the local area playing, and there's guys that probably ambitious to play Premier, probably didn't see a pathway with other clubs to get there, and probably choose Prospect that way. So you kind of when you're trying to sign players, you kind of attack it a bit differently than the big clubs would. Looking for good individuals as well as good players, you know.
Yeah, and on Prospect note, there seems to be a serious dip in player involvement in Limerick junior soccer in general. Huge. In terms of like compared to maybe 4 or 5 years ago, the team dropouts. You know, some teams would have had 3 teams, some clubs would have had 3 teams, and there's only 1 team now. Yeah. Do you think that more can be done to improve the game, or do you just think it's a change in society, or? You know,
it's a mixture of a few things. I think the rugby's got huge in the town, which is attracting players underage. So I think there's a lot less minor teams there was even 10 years ago. So it's a knock-on effect. Obviously, if there's less minor teams, there's less junior players to pick from as the years go on. I think Limerick, and they're within every right to do it, have set up 17s and 19s teams. Those players would normally have come into the league, so you're losing probably 15 to 20 players every year over a 5 or 6 year period. That's another 100 players you've lost. So there's a lot of reason. At the top level, and maybe it's probably hard for the teams outside the top 2 or 3 for players to, right, I'm going to put it in basically semi-professional for 9 months, and then you're really up against it to win trophies with Janesborough Pike, Fairview Crow Park, Ballinanty Regional. They're all soaking up the trophies, really, you know. So I mean, it's hard for a player to put his life on hold, stay on weekends, and probably see little out of it in the end, you know. Yeah. So there's a couple of different ways to look at it.
Yeah, just back on the league now, you were saying earlier on, like there's a lot of mini leagues in this league. Have you targeted any teams in house where you would be saying we have to win these games?
Well, no, not really. I think it'll take a few weeks to settle down. The first round of games, I mean, you're playing 7 games in 22 days. It's just a phenomenal amount of games for at any level to play. So you'll probably really realise after that what's what. Obviously, the top 3 or 4 obviously are in a little mini league, and I think after that there's probably 5 or 6 teams that will be looking to make sure they have enough points on the board early doors not to be involved in the relegation battle.
Yeah, it really is a hectic start to the season, and obviously then you have maybe like the likes of James and Pike would have bigger squads than yourselves, which you can be hampered by injuries sometimes, work
suspicions and
but
stuff.
The only thing about it is that sometimes those clubs can also suffer from that, so there's an opportunity there for like yourself when during this hectic period. There can be some mad results at times.
There can be, especially the Thursday night games, the Wednesday or Thursday night games, because you're travelling, teams have to travel along, maybe just leaving work, might get fellas off in time. So it's very hard actually to plan those games because you don't know what your opponents have, you don't know who they're missing. So it's not easy for everyone. Like people probably think, oh, the big teams have bigger squads, but the last couple of years, I think guys have kind of said, right, they have 16 or 17 players, I mightn't get in there. So I mean, it starts to spread around a small bit more. But at the end of the day, the top 2 or 3 teams in town are basically semi-professional. So the players live right. They make sure they're available for games, and that's what you're competing against, really. Like.